I'm Jeff Hunt. He's Bill Thorpe. It's Tuesday.
We're changing lives today. Yeah, and you can be a part of it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I feel like that's how Bill invited a lot of his friends. Hey, you can be a part of it.
Oh, yes.
We're going to go TP Fred's house.
Oh,
hey,
absolutely.
You can be a part of it.
You can be part of this, yes. You can help us all make bad decisions. Oftentimes in my life, I was the example everybody pointed to. Don't do that.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I was absolutely the guy, too, that talked to friends into a lot of crazy things. But today is one that you can be proud of. Today's Colorado Gives Day. Live in studio, we're doing a very special broadcast supporting Step Denver. This has been an organization I've supported personally, but since I came over to 710K News, you guys have a long history of supporting Step Denver.
It's a long history.
It goes back into Peter Boyles and Stephen Tubbs and George Brockler as well.
It does. And I still remember the story that Pete Boyles tells about, there are a couple of them that he tells, but one about Bob Cote back in the day. And it's a dark, cold, miserable type of a night. And Pete sees a guy that he actually knows. And dude's out there and he's asking for money on the street. And he starts reaching in his pocket and Bob goes over there. Bob's a big dude. Comes over, grabs his hand and that starts crushing it. Like, what are you doing? And he's like, but I just want, he's like, do you want to kill him? Do you want to kill him? You give him money, you know exactly what he's going to do with it. You want to get him better? You send him to Step. That's the message.
Wow, that is absolutely the message. Today being Colorado Gives Day, it is a special matching donation. If you go to coloradogives.org/StepDenver, coloradogives.org/StepDenver. I'm happy to personally support this organization. My family and I have donated $500 towards this match. Their aim to raise $25,000. And here's why I'm willing to give to Step Denver, because it works. You know my complaints about the homeless industrial complex, that all those tax dollars are going to provide jobs for people in the system. They're not actually incentivizing people to get out of homelessness, out of drug addiction. That's where Step Denver actually does make an impact in people's lives. So you got to go check them out. Now it's time for news with Blake Olson.
Blake Olson.
Blake Olson, news and comment.
Hey, good Tuesday morning, 38 and partly cloudy in Denver, expecting a high of 60 today. News sponsored by Pastor Camp Heating and Air Conditioning at 303-777-1234 to learn more about special savings opportunities on Lennox equipment. Our top story, the National Weather Service has issued a high wind watch for areas west of Denver, including Lakewood, Boulder, Golden, and Arvada. There could be gusts of up to 60 miles an hour at times today. The high wind watch will remain in effect until this evening. A pedestrian has died after a weekend crash in Aurora. Police say it happened at the intersection of South Oak Hill Way and East Smoky Hill Road Sunday afternoon. A woman was in the crosswalk when she was hit by a truck turning left on Smoky Hill. She died after she was taken to the hospital. The driver stayed at the scene and is cooperating with the investigation. 47 is traveling to Pennsylvania today, kicking off his national tour, touting his economic agenda.
As voters signal they're not happy with the issues central to his election in a series of polls. Most recently, Gallup, showing just 36% of those surveyed satisfied with the president's handling of the economy. He argues he inherited a mess.
And Senate Republicans have competing health care proposals.
Some Republicans want a deal that would preserve Affordable Care Act subsidies, while others want the enhanced subsidies to expire. Senators Bernie Moreno of Ohio and Susan Collins of Maine have introduced the CARE Act that would create a 2-year extension of expiring ACA enhanced subsidies and allow reforms intended to appease conservatives. The Senate is expected to vote on a Democratic health care plan later this week, though it's not expected to pass, and Republicans haven't decided which plan will be used as a counterproposal. I'm Michael Kastner.
And Secretary of War Pete Hegseth, Secretary of State Marco Rubio, and Chairman of the Joint Chiefs will brief top congressional lawmakers behind closed doors today. The briefing for the so-called Gang of Eight is expected to focus at least partially on the ongoing military strikes on drug boats in the Caribbean and Pacific. A judge is ordering the mother of White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt's nephew released from ICE custody on bond. Bruno Ferreira was arrested last month near Boston and sent to an ICE processing center in Louisiana. She shares custody of an 11-year-old with Michael Leavitt, Caroline Leavitt's brother. The New York Archdiocese is setting aside hundreds of millions of dollars for sexual abuse victims. Cardinal Timothy Dolan released a statement Monday saying the Archdiocese was setting up a $300 million fund that would compensate people who have sued the church over sexual abuse allegations. Google is planning to launch its first generation AI-powered glasses next year. The audio-only glasses will be equipped with the Gemini AI assistant and feature an embedded lens-based display. The operating system will be based on Android XR. The Avalanche at the Predators tonight. That's Nashville. Nuggets at the Kings on Thursday. Sacramento. Chargers beat the Eagles last night 22-19 in overtime, and the Colts are bringing in 44-year-old Phillip Rivers for a workout today.
So you're saying I've got a shot?
You have a shot,
I can
Billy.
still chase my dream.
When I read this, I said Billy has a shot.
Phillip's been coaching down in Alabama. I know some of the kids that have been coached under him. He's doing a fantastic job down there, not only coaching, but also guiding and mentoring these guys. Phillip Rivers, very strong Catholic man.
Very a strong believer.
Yep.
Great dude. And when he was in college, I met him at the Senior Bowl. When was that? Early 2000s, I guess. And, man, what a great dude. I've been a fan since his days in college. Of course, Broncos fans had to hate him because he's a competition.
But as a person, he is a fantastic person.
He is
just a human. He's a wonderful human. It'd be really cool to have him back in the NFL. As far as
that
mentoring.
would be.
I hope that he's got a little bit of gas left in the tank for the Colts.
Same here.
Just because he's just such a good dude. You like to have good dudes win.
I'm a fan of really old quarterbacks standing in the pocket and delivering.
Because
I love it.
You can at least put yourself in that. You're like, ooh, that's going to hurt. It's like, ooh, I hope he won.
I'm going to ask Donnie, because he's live in studio from Step Denver. He's wearing a Denver Broncos hat. Favorite Denver Broncos quarterback?
Ooh, that's a good one. I would honestly have to say Peyton.
Peyton over Elway, huh?
Yeah, I mean, Elway did really good. I didn't have the opportunity to watch him, but it sounded like he did really good. But the fact that Peyton not only brought them back and took them back to back-to-back Super Bowls, but he also won them. You know what I mean?
The
choked
sheriff,
on one, but
the sheriff in the pocket.
Yeah,
I think he likes those guys in the pocket too.
Yep,
Blake.
Well, it sounds like a young man speaking right there. A very young man. Blasphemy! Blasphemy! If he were just as old as me, there wouldn't be any question. He would go hands down the king, the GOAT, John Elway. Absolutely. But I understand, man. When you're young and pretty, I get it. We wish we were like you, man.
Dude, you should see. I mean, Donnie's got like all his hair, his skin's all tight, no wrinkles and stuff.
I know. I'm looking at this dude. I'm like,
jealous.
What, this guy, man, looking good.
Looks great.
Here with all of us old guys, except for Jeff. But,
Yeah.
Looking good, man. We appreciate you being in the studio. 37 in Wheat Ridge, 37 in Highlands Ranch, 38 in Denver, home of John Elway, the greatest quarterback of all time in Broncos history. You're waking up with Jeff and Bill. Blake Olson, News Talk, 710 KNUS.
Your KNUS forecast for the Denver metro area calls for breezy to strong winds throughout the metro area with high winds to the west in the foothills and mountains, gusts 60 plus for these areas with gusts of 25 to 35 elsewhere in the metro area. We'll see temperatures overnight tonight, low 30s, highs this Tuesday and tomorrow near 60. Nighttime lows well above average, 30s to near 40, and there'll be a touch of maybe a little high country snow shower activity the next few days, otherwise dry. I'm meteorologist Mark Huer in the 710 KNUS Weather Center.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. This is a very special broadcast. Well, Bill and I are typically diving into the news of the day and debating each other and pounding each other into the ground with our mental faculties.
Yes.
Today, we're taking time to come together and agree around something that's very important, that's improving lives. Look, for many of us, especially people of faith, we care deeply. We feel that call from God to care for those that are suffering, going through, whether it's homelessness, drug addiction. We want to do something. And in fact, God commands us to do something. You cannot ignore the poor. The Bible's very clear about that. And we want to do something, but you see people either panhandling. So you're like, well, I know I'm just feeding an addiction if I give money to people that are asking for it out on the street. And then I get frustrated with the waste, fraud, and abuse that comes oftentimes from government funding programs. So you're like, it just feels fraudulent almost sometimes when the government steps in to fund programs. Fortunately, there's a great organization out there. They don't accept any government funds. They require personal responsibility from the men who are going through the program. That this is not just a house that you can sit in and do drugs. This is a requirement that you be sober, that you go out there and work, that you care for your family. It's rooted in faith. It's rooted in personal change, and that's Step Denver. And we are looking to raise today a record $55,000 to support Step Denver, to help men in Denver and around Colorado get out of their addiction, rebuild their lives. Joining us live in studio, not only men that have had their lives impacted and improved, but we're also joined by Amy, the Mission Advancement Officer. So, Amy, how are we doing so far? We're an hour in. Our goal, I think we're aiming to raise $25,000 this morning, a total of $55,000 today. How are we doing so far?
So far, we are at $4,900, which I would say is pretty fantastic for 1 hour.
Yeah,
so
nice job.
Thank you to all the listeners.
$4,900.
Yep.
All right, good job, you early risers.
Yes.
Wow.
I'm one of you, so.
Do you get up early?
I get up at 4 every single day.
Yeah.
There's
Love
a lot
that.
to do before work, so.
Yeah.
If it didn't require my kids to have food on their table, I would not be getting up at this hour.
Yeah.
But good for you guys.
That is fantastic. In fact, Jeff, I just want to interrupt just for a second, just to kind of derail this for a moment, because that's kind of what I do. We have friend of the show, Corey Nelson, who has just called in.
Oh, great.
He's a huge fan of Step Denver, but the reason we want to bring it in is that Corey has real-world experience of the success stories of Step Denver. Corey's got impact from where he sees the men as they're coming out of the program, getting their lives back together. He's a testament to the fact that he has seen with his own eyes in his professional capacity, this program works.
Corey's great. Corey's got a great background. He's with the Denver City Attorney's Office as well. Corey, good morning. Thank you for joining the Jeff and Bill Show.
Yeah, good morning, guys. Hey, thanks for doing this. Step Denver is a fantastic program, and I do donate to them every single year, and I will be donating later this morning. And I encourage everybody to do this. This is my background. As a prosecutor for 34 years in the Denver County Court, I encountered hundreds of poor souls suffering from alcoholism. And I agree with you, Jeff, as far as this industry, as far as drug addiction and homelessness, as far as I've seen so many these Democrats who support these programs because put their friends in charge of it. But Step Denver's not like that. as far as the program. And Amy, you do a fantastic job, and I believe in the program. I've seen success from Step Denver every single time we gotten a guy from the courts who've had problems because of alcoholism. Every time we get them into Step Denver, we've seen success. And so I'm just telling everybody out there, look, if you want to have an impact and actually make a difference for these men, Step Denver is the place to do that. By donating, you can make a real difference in helping these men because this program works. I've seen it time and time again where the other programs don't work because of the way they run their system. They don't rely upon government handouts, these programs, et cetera, that you see. So we need to step up, and as a Christian, as somebody who believes in helping these folks out, you want to be effective, you want to do the right thing and not have money wasted, into administrative and giving money to the CEOs and the people in charge of the program. This is the program to do it. I've seen it happen over decades and decades of success. So this is a fantastic program. I encourage everybody to donate. Please don't wait. Jump online now. Listen to Amy as far as how to do that, and please get it done. Let's help this program. It is the most effective program I have seen in decades and decades of rural experience.
Whoa. I mean, is there a better endorsement out there than Corey Nelson, his experience down at the Denver City Attorney's Office, having to deal with folks that are going through crises, and he's saying that Step Denver is the best program to help people facing those challenges. Wow, Corey Nelson, what an endorsement. Thank you, brother.
Yeah,
Thanks.
thanks. Have a great day, Corey.
Yeah, I really appreciate that. I can talk all day long in the same regard. I feel the same exact way as Corey, and I'm seeing the donations coming in, so thank you, Corey. I really appreciate that. One thing I want to talk about real quick is the economic impact that Step Denver has. So the very conservative estimate for HUD of what a homeless person costs the community is $40,000. Now, we know in Denver they're spending at least $68,000 per person on a hotel room. That's it, just a hotel room. And so, but we take the conservative estimate of $40,000. Last year, our average salary for the men was $49,700. So that's pretty good for men that are just coming off of the street. 97% of the guys last year were homeless coming off the street. And so that's fantastic. So we take those two numbers and put them together, which is an opportunity cost, right? We're saving the community $40,000, and then we're re-injecting $49,700 per guy back into the community. Now, the recovery support managers that I talked about earlier, which are the men that are working with these guys that come in through the entirety of the program, they're actually following up with these men at 8 different intervals within the first 12 months after they leave the program. They have left the program, whether it was successfully or unsuccessfully. The only people we're not following up with is anybody that broke the rules to the point where they got kicked out. Excuse me, but we're following up with everybody outside of that. And first of all, it's to check in to make sure that they're doing okay. But we're asking questions like, are you still housed? Are you still sober? Are you still employed? The men that, first of all, excuse me, I'll give the percentages for last year. Last year, we were able to reach 85% of the men that we reached out to, which is just unheard of in recovery. The reason why is, and I believe, is because the person who's calling them has a very close, trusting relationship. They have this brotherhood there at Step that is, I haven't seen it anywhere else. But 85% of the guys answered the phone, and 85% were still sober. 90% were still independently housed, which means they are paying for their own housing, and 75% were still employed with full-time jobs. So of those guys that were contacted, we say, okay, who is still employed and who's still housed? We multiply that number by the $89,700. $16 million was our economic impact last year on a $2.6 million budget. So every single dollar that was donated last year turned in $7.89 of impact. $5,200 it costs to serve a man at Step Denver, not $40,000 or $68,000. It's one of the best programs I've ever seen. I could talk all day about it, but I work there, right? So to have Corey call in and talk about how impactful this program is. I could not agree more. I could talk about it all day long. That's why I'm here. But, for those listening, your donation will really make an impact no matter what amount it is, $5, $5,000. Every dollar will have a massive impact.
That's Amy. Amy's Mission Advancement Officer for Step Denver. Today is Colorado Gives Day. Today is the big day. They have a match going on right now. We need your help. coloradogives.org/Step Denver. coloradogives.org/Step Denver. Not only does 710 KNUS believe so much in this organization and have devoted years to helping them, our family personally is writing a check to support them because we believe in them. So know that I, who am skeptical of a lot of those organizations, believe and have seen with my own eyes that they deliver on what they offer. They change lives, and as I know that God cares about those that are in chains, those that are homeless. The Bible's very clear about this. Jesus lived out this life of caring for those. But you don't want to give to an organization that's going to waste the money. You want to give to an organization that's going to spend it wisely and has the track record. That's Step Denver. coloradogives.org/Step Denver. All right, Donnie's live in studio. Donnie, we heard your story. We heard about the addiction, the brokenness. You start drinking when you're 13 years old in the bathroom with your buddies at the Boys and Girls Club. You then go through high school. You end up dropping out.
And I think that's interesting because Donnie early on said that he wasn't the sports kid. He was the academic
smart kid. I thought that same thing, too, about how it ruined that opportunity for him.
And how it becomes, when he starts experimenting with the alcohol. I mean, Donnie shared with us last hour that he would show up to high school with a bottle of Jaeger daily. And this is a kid that was into academics when he was younger, and now he's bouncing out of high school. And then some of his friends introduce him into pills and then gets into the coke, and so starts mixing the alcohol and the coke, and that's what feeds the demon. And now he's out of high school and he's working on the pipeline, making good money, but that good money, he's away from the family. So even though he's got a new wife, brand new child at home, he feels alone. And the answer he finds in the bottle. And he's got enough money to feed that nightly when he's away from the house. Outside of the rules, there's nobody else watching him, and all his buddies are drinking. Yeah, that's where he left off the story.
So let's get to the point, Donnie, of recovery, where you decide I need to get some change.
That low point that you're like, I can't do this anymore. Not that you don't want to, but you look at it and you're like, there's no way I can continue to do this anymore, and you start looking for answers. The answer is Step Denver, but talk to us about how you got to that point and that decision.
So I know my siblings probably don't like hearing this, but I'm so grateful for them and what they did, and my grandparents too. My breaking point was the fact that I lived with my little brother for a little bit. I lived with him for about a year, and at that time I'm drinking his bottle of Jack. I had money, I was working, but he had the bottle, so drink it for free. You know what I mean? Eventually, I left that apartment, and then I ended up living with my sister. My sister had a bottle of Don Q, a gallon. It was a whole handle of Don Q. So I ended up drinking that. I would drink that within a week, and then I would replace it. Around the time my sister kicked me out of her house, and I ended up at my grandparents' house on the floor on an air mattress, and all I had to my name was a broken TV, some clothes, and some books. That's all I had left. And my grandparents only gave me a month to stay there. They were just like, you got a month to be here. And I'm so grateful that they made that decision, because if they didn't, I would have died. The day that I decided to go to Step was like the day that God smacked me in the face, was like, you got to fix this. You're done. I was stuck between staying in my car or trying to get my stuff together. I literally could not decide. And the day that I decided to go to Step, I made the phone call. My car that I wanted to stay in got repossessed. So my God was just like, you're going. Like, there is no other option. You are going. And I called Step, and I was just like, I can't do this anymore. Like, I'm done. My siblings are mad at me. My grandparents don't want to deal with me. I barely talk to my kid. I'm on the floor. I'm over it. I just can't do it. Like, I had an apartment in Denver Tech Center that was really nice, and I threw it all away. You know, my wife wasn't talking to me at the time. You know, we were separated for about 3 years, and it was just misery for the last 3 years, you know. And it just, my breaking point was the small fact that I overdosed twice. I ended up in a mental institution. I just did not like the way that my life was going. Like, it was just bad. And even after Step, like, I wanted to leave. Like, yeah, I didn't want to be there. You know, like, I walked in and I was just like, I walked into a halfway house. Like, this is not what I want to do, you know. But what really drove me to stay was just the simple fact that I was welcomed even when nobody else wanted me around. You know what I mean? Like, it was just like, I was welcomed with open arms. They gave me food. They gave me a bed. You know, I haven't slept on a bed for over a month, other than the air mattress on the floor, and that wasn't very comfortable. I would have to inflate it every night. You know what I mean? So that just didn't work. You know, I just hated it, and I was just like, I gotta make this work.
Now, Donnie, I got a question for you about those 2 ODs. What was an accident, or was it slightly intentional? Were you trying to ingest mass quantities because you just couldn't deal with everything else, and that was an escape? I'm not saying you were trying to kill yourself. You were just going to try to make the pain go away, and the more you took into your body, the less you felt the pain. What were you searching for, and what'd you OD on?
I honestly, I couldn't tell you what I OD'd on. When I woke up...
That's cool. I get it, man. I get it.
When I woke up, the first time that they told me I was on... I was drinking, obviously. I was on cocaine, Xanax, and Adderall. And that was the first time.
That's an incredible cocktail.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. And I woke up in the mental institution because they thought I tried to kill myself before. And... I honestly, I couldn't tell you. Like, I just was partying. I was having fun. I was enjoying myself, and I just blacked out and woke up in the back of an ambulance.
Makes sense. You were trying to escape. There was a time in which this is what we were doing in order to feel happy.
Yeah.
And outside of that realm, it felt like everything else was grinding you down, and there were no wins. This was the time in which you felt great, and this was the win.
Yep.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah,
wow.
the second time was pretty similar, but this time I actually tried to kill myself. Like, I couldn't deal with it anymore. Like, I wanted to, and I ended up at my friend's house, and he just seen, like, how bad I was. Like, he just seen it on my face. I don't even know how I got there. Like, I lived in Aurora at the time, and I drove all the way from Aurora to Thornton, just hammered. And I was just like, dude, I can't do this anymore. Like, I'm done. And he took me, he called the ambulance, and I overdosed in the ambulance. Wow. And I woke up in a mental institution again. Yeah. So that wasn't fun.
Now let's jump to when you're at Step Denver. And I love the fact that you were like, you didn't want to be there, but it was the first place in a long time that welcomed you, that everyone was there. Talk to us and tell the audience. Again, we are doing Colorado Gives Day, coloradogives.org/StepDenver. They have got a $55,000 matching challenge for you and I and Jeff and the listening audience today. Every dollar you give, up to $55,000 today, total is going to be matched. You give $1, it becomes $2. You give $5, it becomes $10. $10 becomes $20. $20 becomes $40. $50 becomes $100. Yeah, you can make an enormous impact.
We're now at $10,300.
You all are
Thank you.
This is
unbelievable.
This is insane. So, Donnie, you don't want to be at Step Denver. You really don't want to. But they've opened their arms. They've welcomed you.
Yep.
Tell the audience about that first night. You were talking about the first time you slept in the bed in a month. What's it like that first night? What runs through your head? And what are you thinking the next morning?
That first night, I was honestly really mad because I met one of the RSMs outside of STEP. I'm not gonna mention his name because he doesn't like when I do that. He hates being praised the way that I praise him, but he helped me so much. You know what I mean?
We know who you are.
Yeah.
And what's an RSM?
Recovery support manager.
Okay.
I met him outside of STEP, and I told him like, dude, I need help, and he told me about it. And I ended up doing my intake the very same day. And when they told me, you got to take a shower, you wash your clothes, everything, the same thing that would normally happen to a communal living place. When I got out of the shower, I'm in scrubs, so I'm already mad because I got to wear scrubs again. And I don't like that. They're not comfortable. But I got to take a shower. You know what I mean? And the same guy that I met is going through all of my belongings, so I'm just like, what are you doing? And he just sat me down and he was like, is there anything that's going to stick me, stab me, poke me? I was like, no. And I was just really upset about it. And he just kind of like looked at me and smiled and he goes, you're going to do great here. And I was like, okay. Like, that was just my first thought was, okay, thanks. I don't know what that entails. And we were going through like the first week of in-house, which in-house means you're gonna help clean up. You're gonna pay for your first week by helping everybody out, clean up the dormitory, sweep, mop, do what you need to do just for the first week. And we sat down with the guy who was running the intake, and he told us there's like over 60 something rules. And I was just like,
you're like, no way.
I was just like, dude,
Yeah.
I could barely remember to brush my teeth in the morning. What do you mean? I got to follow 67 rules? And that was just like an automatic off switch for me. I was just like, yeah, I don't think I'm going to last here. But I kept giving it a chance. You know what I mean? Because the one thing that kept replaying in my mind was my mom, just hugging me, and we'll kind of get into that a little later because my mom is no longer here. It just kept playing in my mind was my mom said, I'm finally gonna have my son back. And that just kept playing and playing and playing. So I was just like, you know what, I gotta make this through. Even if I only do the first 3.5 months, I gotta at least do that. And at the time it was for her, and they told me directly, like, don't do this for anybody else, do it for yourself. But for me, it was just like, I want to make my mom proud again. You know what I mean? And I was just at that point in my life, like, I want my mom to smile at me. I want her to hug me and embrace me in a way that I haven't felt in a while.
Dude, I get it, because there is so much time in which you feel like you've disappointed your parents.
Yeah.
There are places in which, you talked about growing up in a house full of addicts and dad telling you stay away from it because it's in your blood. And at some point when you start drinking at 13, you fall into the trap. You have ignored their advice, and everything that you saw them do, all those mistakes, you're walking that same path. You're on that same trail. And so now you got to prove to mom you're different, that you can break this cycle.
So powerful. We're talking with Donnie from Step Denver. He's a real life example of how great this organization is at doing what we'd love to see these homeless organizations do. Require personal responsibility, walk with people, not just put them in a homeless hotel somewhere far away where they continue to use drugs, but hold them accountable, give them the steps to improve their lives. It works. It's why we're supporting them. Today is Colorado Gives Day. Go to coloradogives.org/StepDenver, coloradogives.org/StepDenver. It is a big day. They're looking. They've set the bar at a record high of $55,000. We are well on our way to doing it. We're past $11,000 right now, but we need your help. We look, guys, we all know this. I'm going to be very frank with you, especially you people of faith. You are called to care for those that are poor. The Bible's very clear about that. But if you're like me, you're not going to give money to somebody that's panhandling on the street because you know it's going to facilitate the addiction. You don't like the corruption that takes place in a lot of these homeless organizations where the government's paying for the money. You just don't trust it. I am telling you, this is an organization that is trustworthy, that has the results, that you can support. Our family's happy to support them. The station happy to support them. Join us right now by going to coloradogives.org/StepDenver. We will continue. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's Talk Leader. We're changing lives today. You can be a part of it. We're News Talk 710, KNUS.
Very special day for Jeff and Bill. Billy and I typically throwing down and debating all sorts of topics.
Yeah, but today we
Taylor
agree.
Swift. But today we are united together.
Yes.
In supporting Step Denver. Both of us come from positions of faith and motivated out of our love for our Lord and his command to care for the least of these. And we both invest in organizations that actually work. And the best out there at taking care of people in addiction, homeless, is Step Denver.
Yeah, I mean, Amy shared with us earlier that when they checked in with some of the guys that came out of the program, that they were able to contact 85% of them, 90% still independently housed, 75% still gainfully employed. They have a budget of just a couple million, and they turn around making an impact economically inside of Denver of more than $16 million. That is an economic multiplier not many other programs like this could ever imagine or dream of delivering, because they put men through this program, bring them out on the other end, they get housing, they get employment, they become productive members of society. You're hearing from Donnie. It is not easy. Right now, Donnie doesn't want to be there. He doesn't like the 67 rules. But it works. That's why Donnie and Amy are in studio with us this morning. He is proof positive. Step Denver works. And you can help them today. ColoradoGives.org/Step Denver. ColoradoGives.org/Step Denver. They've got a matching grant, so every dollar you give right now is matched. $1 becomes $2, $5 becomes $10, $10 becomes $20. You get the math.
We got to get to 25,000. And
to.
Bill, we are at 13,775. We already broke last year's record.
Wow.
Breaking
Isn't that
the record.
amazing?
Yep.
We're not even halfway through the
I
show.
think
We've
this
already
is
broken it.
actually a KNUS record overall. So congratulations to you both.
Oh, all right.
No, that's our listeners.
That's
We
our
have
listeners.
absolutely the best listeners. Right,
do.
left, center. They care about people. I can
Yeah.
tell you that.
Could not
I
agree
disagree with politics, but I see care and compassion
Absolutely.
in the eyes of our listeners.
Yes.
All right. So, Donnie, real quick, you're now in the program. You've been in this program for a year, right? Or been sober for a year. Tell us why Step Denver continues to work now, a year into the program, where you've been able to make life changes.
Yeah, I mean, they continue to allow me to go back. You know, even after I left, I can still go back and help the guys out. You know, I can still talk to them, you know, give them words of wisdom and everything else like that. You know what I mean? And it really helped me even to this day. Like, I go back there every Wednesday. And I go and I talk
Why?
to the guys. The biggest reason why is because it helps me. You know, like, it's just such a welcoming environment.
So those new guys that are going to go in today are going to see you Wednesday.
Yeah,
I
it's
mean,
a
you show up.
12-step meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Every
I mean,
Wednesday
they're seeing guys. Like, so a guy walks in, he sees Donnie. I mean, Donnie, it sounds like, I don't want to presume it, but you're back with your wife?
Yeah. Yeah.
So you're back in your wife's life. You're back in your son's life. So those guys they see you. I know you go down there and it's a benefit for you. But man,
Yeah.
let's talk about the benefit to those guys.
Yeah, and a lot of them come up to me a lot, and they'll tell me, like, dude, the stuff that you talk about really helped me get through the morning. It really helped me get through the day, and I try to help them the best that I can. You know what I mean? Because I don't tell them, like, I'm not here to tell you how to live your life. I'm here to guide you to a better one. You know what I mean? Because that's what I wanted at that time. You know, when I first went to Step, like, my wife was really skeptical because she didn't think I was gonna actually go, because she was been asking me and begging me to do something about my addiction and my problems, you know. And when I actually did it, you know, I didn't tell anybody that I was going. I told my siblings, and that was it. Wow. Like, hey, if you guys are looking for me, I'm gonna be here. And when I called her that night, I told her, I was like, hey, I'm at Step. I just want to let you know I'm trying to be better. And she just kind of was real skeptical about it, like, okay, we'll see how long this lasts. You know what I mean? The first thing she told me was just, I'm proud of you for even trying. You know, and it was wonderful. You know, the only people that knew where I was my grandparents, my mom, and my siblings. When I started making phone calls to let people know where I was at, you know, they were just like, that's crazy. I didn't know you were going through all of that. Because of the fact that I was really good at it, kind of trying to hide it. like I was getting pretty good at it.
You started at 13. You went to high school with a
Yeah.
bottle of Jaeger in the backpack.
I'd say you're pretty good at hiding
a
it.
professional at hiding the addiction, my man.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Wow. We're talking with Donnie. He's a perfect example of how great Step Denver is. He's one of hundreds of men they help each year. You're not an exception to the rule. You are the rule with Step Denver. That's why we love and support them, because guys go into the program, they come out like Donnie, lives changed, lives improved, making a contribution, investing back in their families, getting jobs. This is what we want. Step Denver delivers it. Go to coloradogives.org/Step Denver and support them today. Goal $25,000 on our show. Help us, Jeff and Bill, reach that and help our friends at Step Denver.
I know, Jeff, we got to step aside again because we got bills to pay. But when we come back, what I want to hear from Donnie is, I want to know what it feels like today, because you've broken that cycle. It is a journey that is going to be with you the rest of your life. But I want to talk about what it's like with you being the husband and the father that your father wasn't. You're charting a new path. You're becoming a superhero in your son's life.
That's right.
I want to talk about that impact and how that feels to you and the difference this has made in your life.
We'll continue. You're listening to Jeff and Bill.
This is Denver's Talk Leader, News Talk 710, KNUS.
Welcome back to a very special edition of the Jeff and Bill Shows. We support our friends at Step Denver. So let's answer Bill's question. Donnie's live in studio. Donnie is a great example of the work that Step Denver does. Now you get to build a different path for your family than the one you inherited.
Yeah,
Talk
what's
about
it like
that.
being that dad that your dad wasn't to you?
Yeah, it's actually really enjoyable, you know, and I actually really praise my dad a lot because he's also in recovery. He kind of inspired me to go into it, you know what I mean? And I believe he's over 2 years sober right now. He has a little bit more time than I do, and we've gotten a lot closer. You know, we've gotten to really enjoy each other. So, but really back to the question is it's different now. You know, like I'm actually present. I can actually sit down and talk to my wife instead of freak out because we had a difference in an argument. You know what I mean? And he enjoys being around me. Like my son just really actually enjoys being around me because when I had him, you know, like we were separated, but when I would have him on the weekends, he didn't want nothing to do with me at such a young age. He would always sit there and cry, I want my mom, and it would hurt me a lot, you know, but I really kind of just built that kind of relationship at that time, you know, and now it's different. Now he just gets really excited to see me, and he comes up to me and Dad's home, and then sometimes he'll try to hide underneath this little mini recliner that we got him, and now he just tries to hide from me and pop up out of nowhere and scare me, you know what I mean? And it's fun, and he's really been enjoying the Alf on the shelf that pop up at our house, you know. So he's been.
That is awesome.
Yeah,
well,
and it's been fun.
That's amazing.
Donnie, you got a great energy about you, great spirit. I can tell you're a dedicated, devoted husband and father. You're doing it right, man. You wear that medal. It says 1 year proud. That's Donnie, Step Denver, live example of how it's impacted. Support them. We're going to continue. The whole show is dedicated to this. We'll be right back. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
This is 710 KNUS.